Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of my 2022 Giro d'Italia team rankings review. Group Armor FDJ came into the Giro with 2 goals in mind. The first one was to try and get Attila Valter the pink jersey on stage 1 in his home race at the Grande Partenza. And the next one was to try and give Arnaud Demare the confidence to go for stage wins. They didn't achieve the first one. Attila Valter never truly got going in the race until stage 19, where he was taken out at the sprint for the line. Up the final climb with an interesting finish, shall we say. However, Arnaud Demare came in and finished with 3 stage wins and the Maglia Ciclamino. The first stage win of his was stage 5 into Messina, a day where Alpecin ripped it up and Groupama fed off that and took the win with Arnaud Demare. Day later, he won into Scella, where he managed to outsprint Ewan and Cav, and then he took another sprint win in the second week, stage 13 to Cuneo, which they really had to work for. We knew Demare had a fantastic lead out from 2020 Giro. He had a tough year last year and hadn't won this year until the Giro. So to take 3 wins and the Ciclamino jersey quite comfortably, fantastic result. For the sprinters teams, they'll get the highest marks easily with a 9 out of 10. Had Attila Valter managed to get closer to winning a stage, it would have been a 10. The Ineos Grenadiers came into the race with the favourite, Richard Carapaz, and up until sort of stage 15-16 for me, they were in control of the race. Carapaz was riding well himself, not quite as aggressive as he normally is, but he was riding well. Sivakov, Port, Toulet were riding incredibly well as domestiques alongside Navarez and a ever-improving following a nasty crash, Jonathan Castroviejo. First 2 weeks, as I've said, was going brilliantly. Their one off day was the stage of Torino that Bora ripped up. Carapaz was left isolated, but he managed to take the pink jersey in the end as well. Hay fever. Anyway, so Ineos took control, took the pink jersey with a week to go, and that's where it sort of changed. They went from being quite aggressive to quite passive. The team didn't want to chase breakaways just in case Hindley took time bonuses at the line, and that's why me and many others think that this year's Giro, particularly the GC battle, was quite boring. Stage 20, really, he just cracked. He just had a bad day up the Fadaya, and Hindley took control and won the race. But he definitely could have taken some more advantage of his form earlier in the race. Could have attacked further out on Mount Etna. Potenza was a perfect day for someone like him to attack and rip it up. Blockhouse, he had a gap to Hindley, and they messed around with him and Landa and Bardet. And he attacked on the Superga climb instead of the Maddalena climb up into Torino, 28k from the line, and ultimately paid the price, was caught and couldn't make that second attack. All in all, it was a decent race for Ineos, but they didn't come away with what they wanted to. It was an odd final week for them. 7. I'm going to have to give Ineos a 7 because of that final week being so strange. One of the other strong candidates for team of the race is Intermarché, Wanty, Gobert, something. It is. fantastic team. They've had a great season so far already, with Demare winning Gent-Wevelgem, for example. However, they came to the Giro to give him stage wins and also to give Pozzovivo and Jan Hirt a chance either for GC or wins. And they kind of achieved both. Gamai made history, becoming the first Arab black African to win a stage at the Giro d'Italia on the stage 10 to Jesse. The team then were fantastic. For that stage alone, they deserve a 20 out of 10. They rode for him. They chased down Mathieu van der Poel's attack at the end. Pozzovivo did a fantastic lead out, and he made history by winning. Following that, obviously sad that he exited the race, but that didn't stop Intermarché. Pozzovivo was always up there on the stages until he crashed on the descent to the Mortirolo. And that stage, actually, we saw the rise of Jan Hirt in the GC. He took big time on a lot of his GC rivals to Aprica, and ultimately he finished 6th on GC, only a few seconds off the top 5. Pozzovivo in 8th, and with Gamai's stage win, Jan Hirt's stage win, a 10 out of 10 for Intermarché. From where they've come a couple of years ago to now is just mind-blowing. So far in part 3, we've had 3 of the best teams in the race in FDJ, Ineos and Intermarché, but now we're into one of the worst. Nizzolo was their leader, and he got up there in a couple of days, finished on the podium to Messina, 5th, into Skella the day after. But apart from that, the team didn't really do much else. They couldn't get Demare into the break. They couldn't get Cataford in the break. Their best results in the race was Nizzolo's 3rd and Rick Zabel getting into the climber's jersey again at the TT. Very poor race for the standard that Israel set, particularly for Nizzolo, and I've got to give them a 1 out of 10. On to the final team of part 3 of the Giro team rankings, and that is Jumbo-Visma, who came into the race with GC ambitions for 2 riders and then being aggressive with most of the others. GC challenge for both Tobias Foss and Dumoulin pretty much ended on Mount Etna, and frankly, Foss was pretty much non-existent on the climbs for the whole race. Dumoulin obviously abandoned with a dodgy back in the second week. So they were really hoping some of the other guys would take up the reins, and from such a low to such a high, Koen Bouwman won stage 7 and stage 19 in fantastic fashion, also sealing the Maglia Azzurra jersey, the climbers jersey as well. Fantastic race from him. They really got behind him, particularly in that final week, to wrap up enough points against the likes of Diego Rosa and Giulio Ciccone. Other stages where they did well, Edoardo Affini finished on the podium, in fact almost beat Dries de Bont into Treviso, and the likes of Sam Ehrman did well on a couple of stages. The nice surprise for me was a young rider called Guy Lehrmeiser. He is a talented rider, and on the stage to La Verone, he descended with one of the best in Mathieu van der Poel, and he very nearly hung on to win the stage that was won by Santiago Buitrago. So, and finally, another talented Dutch GC guy that Jumbo-Visma can nurture, maybe in the future, into trying to win a race like the Giro. From a low to a high, 7 out of 10 for Jumbo-Visma. Thank you for watching part 3 of my 2022 Giro d'Italia team rankings. Join me for part 4, where I will be going over Lotto Soudal, Movistar Quickstep, DSM, and Trek Segafredo. We will leave Team Bike Exchange and UAE to part 5.